Okay. So Twitch thing. Let's see if we can switch that. All right. Probably relatively short stream tonight, and I am jumping right in with it. I'm working on a way to use this 14 segment display, which has 4 characters in a non-blocking manner. And once I get rest of those, run a little bit on my other screen here. In this library, it's the HTK 33 something 16 HT16K33 library. There is segments. Segments is the driver for the 14x4, which is what I have. Also the 7x4, which I don't have and have not implemented this behavior for, but it extends from this, so maybe it just works anyway. I'm not entirely sure. I'm most interested in the 14 segments though, and in the existing library there's a function called Marquee. That's my new one, Marquee, right here. There is this one in the existing library, which takes a delay time, a looping true or false, and a text string, and then it will basically just scroll through that text on the display. Which would look pretty similar to what it's doing here, basically. And if you chose loop true, then it would just loop forever, and this function basically will never return because it has a while true inside of here. If it's looping forever, then this never returns. You can stop it with Control-C or something, but other than that, it kind of just goes forever. And so the consequences of this are like you can't do other things afterwards. Like if you want to run an LED animation or an HTTP server or just do anything else on the microcontroller, you can't do it after you start scrolling this. If you set loop to false, then it will return when it's done. So it would like loop once, and then you could do your other thing, and then you could make it loop once again. But if your string is really long, then that could take a while, because you only have 4 characters at a time. So, and at this point, we're looping, one scroll action per quarter second, so 4 times a second we're scrolling. We could probably speed that up and it'd still be legible, but you can't push it too fast. And we couldn't do anything in between. Like if we want to run LED animations at the same time as we have text scrolling, this is not really going to work for us because this kind of just takes control and doesn't give it back to us. So I'm working on non-blocking Marquee. The API is similar. You give it the text you want, you give it the delay, how long you want in between each scroll. I've defaulted it to the same. You give it loop, true or false, and then I think I'm going to actually probably change this to where you will not pass this in anymore. And just use a hard-coded space, which is one of the changes that I want to make. And then you have to keep calling this function. That's a key difference in the API is Marquee, the existing one, the old one, the blocking one, you call this once and then it does its thing. If you don't have loop on true, then it will end, and then you could call it again later. But you call it once and you either get one loop through or infinite if that is true. Non-blocking marquee is different. You need to keep calling it over and over and over inside your main loop. It will check the delay, and so like the majority of the time that you call it, it will probably do nothing because it's not time yet. It hasn't been long enough since the last time it took action. So it will just return immediately. You can do all the other stuff inside your main loop, and then you keep calling this, and eventually we have waited long enough. It's time to act. We go ahead and scroll the text. We return just like normal, and then the main loop, like all this while, the main loop can be doing all these other things, right? We can be having LED animations, we can be drawing stuff on the screen, moving stuff around, interacting with buttons, taking input from the user, whatever, right? Because this way we're not blocking the execution. We keep executing. This thing is just kind of doing one step in the iterative process of what we want for scrolling the text across. The next things to work on are kind of some testing, and I think there's still some bits left to implement. Like this says if length is greater than 4, which basically means we do need to scroll. We don't have an else here. We're missing an else. So if length was less than 4, then currently nothing would happen. Instead of that, what we want to happen is not nothing. We want to just put the text on, and then there's no scrolling needed because it's less than 4 characters. So we just go self.print text. I don't know if I need to call show for certain or not, but I got stuck on that last time I worked on this, so I'm gonna. So that should work now for less than 4. Let's test that. This is the one on the device as well. I do have this hooked up with NeoPixels as well, so we'll run some animations here in a minute. Unblocking. We'll give it a smaller thing, like if we just said hi. I was doing some testing here where I called it with a sleep. We probably don't even really need this, honestly. We could just hit right into the main loop and just be calling that over and over. I guess we could make it a little more efficient, like you get the text back off it. Text back after you print, so can you say like current text or text? Display the specified text. Roll print hex print. No, it's not really saving it anywhere. All right, well, we call print over and over then. It'd be nice if we could check what's there and then like only print it if it's not already there. That way we don't keep doing it over and over. But I don't see how we could do that unless we save a separate variable that's going to track what's currently showing. So yeah, let's get right into the loop there. Oh, okay, that's interesting. So we have 2 copies of it, which is not what we want. So we need to print extra spaces. Interesting. Python the language where you can multiply strings? Or is that JavaScript? Okay, so we're gonna go inside here. We're gonna go print instead of just print text, it's going to be print text. It's going to be an F string. It's going to be text. Then it's going to be space times 4 minus length of text. So if text were a length of 2, slightly rated, have you tried LVGL UI tooling on Adafruit microcontroller powered screens? I have not. I would like to. So I think there are MicroPython bindings, but not CircuitPython bindings yet. And I shouldn't say I haven't used it at all. I will say I get the what was the name of this? 5 stack is what it is. M5 stack Core 2. M5 stack Core 2 came with a preloaded demo that had LVGL stuff, and I looked into the demo that was there, and I looked into the code that runs the demo that was there, but I did not try tweaking it or really making anything else with it myself. Beyond that, I have looked into LVGL a few times just online, but those are my only experiences with it. It looks really cool, though. I would love one day for us to have some bindings to be able to use LVGL inside CircuitPython. So I should probably play with it with MicroPython, because I imagine that's where it starts if it's going to ever happen. Like, gotta figure out how it works outside of that environment and then bring it in. So let's see here. Thanks for the question, by the way. Yeah. So if it was 2, we're going to get length of that is 2. 4 minus 2 is 2. We're going to multiply the space by 2, which means we have 2 spaces that we're going to put after that. If that was 3, we would get 4 minus 3, which is 1, which is what we want. So that should pad out the rest of the segments. I am stuck in the REPL. There we go. Okay. That is what it should do. Another thing that's not really been tested so much yet is changing text. Like we have... Oh. We have this, actually. We do store the text. Oh. Well, right. I created that. Okay. Right. Okay. Actually, then, yeah, we do. We already created the extra place to put it. So we can actually limit this a little bit and only print if we need to. So we can say print, rather we can say if text is not self.nv scroll text. Then we do this. Otherwise, we don't. We only will now print it once instead of every time we call this. Shouldn't change. Oh. Change the behavior, he starts to say. Why is our space different? If we're only doing it once, do we still need to pad it with space? It's not working anymore. Does this somehow mess it up? It's like it's ignoring the spaces. Okay, that's unexpected. We're not... we are already in here. Text is the same. This is not going to do anything. In fact, we are only calling it when it is the same. Just a bit awkward. Why did we not get the 1 though? That's weird that it's not printing. Okay. Now it printed everything and scrolled so far that the rest is gone. I do not understand why that if statement had that effect, but okay. We're back to behaving how kind of expected it would. Turns out we don't need this. And we can't, I mean, we could, I guess, still do some kind of logic, but we would need to... would need to break it further out of here. Like, we would need an else block for this. So if they're different, and then we need to test the... We already have different, I guess. Oh, okay. Text. Okay, interesting. So this is probably why our scrolling was weird. We were inside of this one because they weren't the same the first time it got called, and then our logic made it so it never got called again. So the first time it gets called, it probably doesn't work properly. But it happens so fast and it gets called again, and then in here it fixes it. It makes it work correctly. This logic is actually wrong, I guess, for the... when the length is less than 4, we would want the same thing as this? Well, no, we have... this would be the half that's wrong, actually, I guess. When it's less than or equal to 4, we want to add the spaces. So, yeah, we want to add the spaces. And then, actually, we could just pass this, right? We don't even need to do anything in here, actually. Because we'll set it the first time, and if it's less than 4, we don't need any scrolling, which means we can just leave it. We never need to do anything else again until it changes. Yeah, okay. Now we do get back our efficiency of not printing the same thing. And it prints correctly the first time. Different text, though, changing text. So we do change from nothing to something, and that seems to work, but we should probably figure out some kind of testing, like, say after 2 seconds, we are going to change to something else. If, let's do now equals, greater than start. Let's do like else. Why not? I want to do 4 or less, and then we'll change it. Oh, the space making it scroll? Scroll, but it shouldn't. If the length is greater than or equal to 4, that should be greater than 4. Yeah. That one is opposite ways, so it should work right on that one. Nice. And if we do like by instead, it should also work easily. And if we do something longer, it should start scrolling. And then we have loop on, so I think it will just keep scrolling, although it also reset. There probably. Computer wrote a file or something. Now it will just scroll forever. Okay. Let's go longer. Delay is we'll put this one at 5 seconds. Okay, so now we're gonna stack another one here. If now is greater than start plus longer delay. Do one thing, elif. Change it back to non-scrolling. Okay. And then the true power of this is our main loop is still revving really fast. This is still iterating really fast. We could do other stuff like LED animations, let's say. So why don't we grab some LED animations as another way to just test this with other stuff going on. Why do we have modified? And I guess we'll keep it. Hopefully there's enough room. Spell it wrong, maybe? Data fruit LED animation. We have a wing which we could use, but sequence, I suppose. If we have enough frame. Should. And 32, that's all there. Already instantiated the pixels, so we'll get all of these things. Do it before Pick the timestamp to start. Doesn't really matter if we go before or after, I don't think. I don't know what all the timings are, but it feels like it's stuck in red, kind of. This one feels like it's only got red and green. Maybe it's not big enough or something. So text can scroll at the same time as animations are running. I think I like this sparkle. Let's let it run sparkle instead of the full sequence. We can just do this, honestly. Pick the colors? Only 3 colors set up by default. Sparkle. Hey, thanks for the follow there, Woodsy, over on Twitch. Appreciate that, my friend. Can add in here. Color wheel step default 1. Did we change the step? Maybe we changed the step. That would definitely cut down the colors. Num sparkles 15. Doesn't do anything with the step though. I would assume that it's talking about step through basically like the wheel function for generating colors, which I think is 0 to 255, but I'm not certain. So if that were high, then you would only get fewer colors. In our case, it's 1. So I'd expect that we would get colors that are closer together, like, well, so we're getting red and then green and then blue. So I'd expect like red and then yellow and then green and then teal and then blue and then pink and then red, like those in-betweens. And even potentially less hard cut than that as well. All right, rainbow after draw. Bright colors? Background brightness. Cycle the rainbow in seconds. The default is 5. Sparkle duration. Bright colors equals none. Berg is gonna go to animation. Generate rainbow after draw. Oh no, it's going to rainbow, not rainbow. Right colors equals self.colors. I mean, it looks like 3 colors here, so I guess it kind of makes sense, maybe. Color in enumerate colors. Self.colors. What do we see if we just print colors? That looks pretty much like what I'm expecting. Oh, you know what it is? I think it's because I have the brightness at like almost 0, which cuts down the number of colors that it can show by a lot. Yep, that was it. This does, I mean, you can see the glow coming through, I guess, but obviously it's washing out the camera. Now we have more in-betweens. We're not as hard cut with like red, green, blue. So the deal was I had my brightness down to 1% on the entire, all the neopixels. And so between 0% and 1%, not a lot of wiggle room. So it kind of could only really do red, green, yellow. I mean red, green, blue. But now we have 10%, so we can got some more room to actually have some analog in between. It's kind of bright though. It's 5. Good. We're looking like 5%. Halfway between. Sounds pretty good though. I like that. Cool. All right. I think that might be it for the night. I was not planning on a super long one. Mostly just wanted to tinker around with this for a bit. Ultimately, my goal, I think, will be to pull together... first of all, I want to get a quad. This is a feather tripler, so the devices here are feather TFT, ESP32S2, feather TFT, and then the 14x4 segment, and then the NeoPixel feather wing, but I want to get a quad connector. Had that problem too. IRC minimum bright was, yeah, 0.008. Only shows anything at 255. Later, I just leave the brightness at 1 and then scale the colors. Yeah, you can do it that way as well. There's like a palette fader or something that will scale the colors instead of the brightness. Ooh. Oh, the camera froze. Oh, it actually... Wow, it reconnected itself. I'm kind of surprised it didn't just die for good. Interesting. The ultimate goal, though, is a feather quadrupler instead of tripler, and then we'll have one other feather wing. I haven't decided what it will be yet. And then I would like to run a web server on the main feather. So you would hit a browser page. The browser page would have controls that allow you to interface with the other feather wings. So maybe we would have like a drop down that lets us select the animations that are running on the NeoPixels. Maybe we would have an input text box that would allow us to type in some text that would go to the scrolling thing. And then, you know, whatever the last feather wing is, we would have some interface that allows us to interact with that as well. I don't necessarily have like specific goals in mind with this, but I'm just kind of interested in bringing together all of these things and just making them work together to ensure that they do and make something that's kind of a more like medium level example, right? A lot of the examples we have are very basic level, do this one specific thing. This is kind of like next level up of like, it's not doing that much, but it's doing, 3 or 4 single things instead of just one single thing. And kind of has the web server to control it, which I think is a neat idea. So that is my overarching plan for this, and we are one step closer by having the ability to scroll text on this. So I'll get this cleaned up. There's lots of extra prints and stuff in here I need to get removed, and then get the function doc strings in. It doesn't have any doc strings right now. Basically, just need to get it cleaned up, polished up, submitted for a PR over there as well. Hopefully, I think I'll be working on that tomorrow. I tried non-blocking console spam. That's true. Yeah, the print statements do slow stuff down a lot. So once we get rid of these prints, our program will actually run, our loop of our program will actually run a lot faster. In our case, it may not make a difference specifically unless if our animation is trying to run faster, or unless if we are so slow that our quarter second is not being met there, then you would never really know it. But if we were scrolling faster, or if our animation was trying to be more smooth or do stuff very quickly. Some of these are on 0.1, I guess. Actually, all of these are on 0.1. What if we change our rate? That's another thing, I guess, that I don't think I've tested is different speed. Let's do play 0.1 on all of them. Yeah, but the print statement, that's definitely a good point. The print statement is amongst the slowest of things you can do, basically. Okay, so yeah, scrolling noticeably faster. And on the screen as well. Which that's the other thing too, we get, honestly, the prints in this case are a double whammy, I think, because we are spending time to send it through UART, but we're also then spending time to update the actual display IO serial output here as well. If you eliminate one or the other, I think you gain some speed back, and if you eliminate both, I think you gain a bunch of speed back. Cool. Seems like the delay is good as far as that actually taking effect. I don't know. We could try pushing it faster. At some point, it will just be as fast as it can go, and it will make no difference. Yeah, I don't know, that doesn't look too much faster than the previous one, truthfully, so we were right around the limit already. And I would already say it's like faster than you would want on a thing that's actually meant to be read. I can still read it if I'm paying close attention to it, but it's like not as convenient. Honestly, even that is kind of fast. I guess the flashing, honestly, the flashing of the neopixels makes it seem faster. What if we did that at the same rate? They be in sync? Oh, okay. For one thing, I have 2 different delays here, so that's... Oh, okay, that's why we're still going so fast. Yeah, okay, we were going twice as fast as I thought. Pretty sure console CDC is mega blocking. Okay. That's the speed I thought we were going. Okay, and then so if we actually did do 0.2 and then 0.2 on all of these, well, I'm only using one of them actually, so let's just do sparkle. Although I might turn the others back on now that we have more colors. Yeah, that's interesting. I kind of like that effect, actually. Uh, Honestly, it does not come through the camera so well. Maybe this makes it better. Not really, no. So you'll have to take my word for it. But the way it looks to the naked eye, like you can clearly see them kind of chunking along at the same time. Creates kind of an interesting effect. The text scrolls at the same time as the next frame of the animation renders. So they kind of like are in lockstep, basically. You can kind of see it here, but it's getting so washed out from the amount of light that it's a little bit harder to see the effect through the screen there. That's a neat one. I do like that, actually. That's pretty cool. Let's turn the rest of these back on, and I will set them all at 2, since I think that's kind of a nice effect. And we'll go animations. This one here. A little bit. So for one thing, what we could do is scroll the name of the animation while we're showing it. So it could show like chase animation, and then it's scrolling chase, and then when it changes, it'd always be telling you the one it's scrolling. That'd be kind of cool. What's the last featherwing we should add, I wonder? You always get the reds and pinks of the Comet? Assuming that's Comet. Length 7. Maybe it's actually Chase. Let's see, does it come after Rainbow? Yeah, that one's probably Comet, actually. That's definitely Sparkle. Okay, yeah, Chase is the one I'm thinking. I'm pretty sure there's more Rainbow ones. Chase is like blocks that scroll across, but it feels like the blocks are always red. Reddish yellow sometimes. Never blue or green. Got red to purple now. Hmm. I guess, I mean, it feels like if it was taller, maybe we would see more colors. Interesting that it makes vertical columns. So the vertical columns are actually incidental because the neopixels are actually in a snake. So it's kind of just a coincidence that they happen to be lining up vertically to some extent. I suppose if we changed the spacing, eventually we would find one where it doesn't work, maybe? Maybe there's some multiple of 4 inside that's making it do that. Alright, I think I am going to pack it in for now, though. That was really all that I wanted to do, was tinker around with this for a bit, show it off briefly, and just get a chance to test it out a bit more with smaller strings, with changing strings, with different delays. All of those things have happened, so I will head out for now. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thanks for the questions and comments over on Twitch. Appreciate all of you for watching. Hope you all have a nice evening. I'll see you later.